Hello, and welcome to the Play Up podcast again with myself, Scott McLachlan. And again, this week I'm joined wonderfully by Jamie and Reece to look at the games just gone and the games coming up. And we will assess the final transfer list comings and goings and where we stand after Pompey's first four league games. Pompey sit at 18th in the Championship after drawing their first three games against Leeds, Luton, and Middlesbrough, but suffered a convincing defeat last Saturday against a very strong and organised Sunderland side, which had a Bellingham patrolling the midfield like he owned it. A steady stream of players have arrived in the last 2 weeks, which is quite exciting. And since our last pod, and we'll discuss them later in the episode, and we'll try and assess and think how they will fare in the coming weeks and months. But first up, though, Pompey travelled to the northeast to Teesside and very nearly pulled off a shock win, only yet again to suffer a last-minute equaliser and only bring back a point. Evening, gentlemen. How are you?
All right, my love.
Good. I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. I was nice. It was nice to get to Fratton Park finally after missing the Luton game. So yeah, I really enjoyed Saturday, despite Sunderland being very, very strong and outplaying us for most of the game. But no, it was good to be back there and see quite a few friends and friendly faces there. So what do we? Let's go for Middlesbrough first, like I said, and another trip up north which nearly produced 3 points. It's another game where it's quite frantic and helter skelter. And Middlesbrough obviously had quite a lot of the game, but we scored early on, obviously through Sadie, and then they hit back with Matt Clark getting a winner and celebrating. I thought you weren't supposed to celebrate against your ex-side at this time, or was it enough time had passed since he left that he could do that? And then obviously the goalkeeper mix-up, which let Sadie have a tap in. What do we think? I mean, you know, again, it was probably like Leeds. We shouldn't have got anything out of the game, but almost won it. And you know, uh, the squad at that point looked as if it could perhaps survive in the Championship at a decent level.
You only got to look at the stats. I mean, 30 shots to our 7. You know,
Yeah.
they battered us, and I missed Sadie's first goal. But after we had two, and we were 2-1 up, it was like an FA Cup final for us. You know, we just sat there and crapped ourselves. I mean, we crapped ourselves well. You know, we get the ball out of the net, but you know, we've gone up a league, and and it's definitely showing. You know, I don't know if that's fear, lack of confidence, because we're the new kids on the block, and we're Middlesbrough arguably are a very good side in the division. But yeah, you can tell that we certainly don't have the confidence that we had last season. You know, it's the second time. So I was just it's the second time this season that we've let in a last minute goal when we've had the league. When we've had the leads, play on words there, yeah. So it's frustrating, but I knowing Mousino, he strikes me as the kind of manager that will work on that and stamp that out. And whilst we did get battered against Sunderland, the stats are a lot better. We lost the game, but we improved the I don't know, maybe the fear factor, and I'd rather that we went for it. I'd rather, I don't like being battered for 70 minutes of a game. And I hate it when you've gone up. You're in the lead for a reason. And sometimes, for me personally, I'm not any good at football, but the best form of defence is often attack, and this is what frustrates me the most about Gareth Southgate's England. We had the skill to attack, and it seemed like every time we went up, it's like, oh, come on, let's get 10 men behind the ball and let's all defend. And for me, that's why we didn't win, tournaments under him. And so it did feel like a slight improvement in the Sunderland game, even though we got smashed 3-1. Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because Mousino had to make changes, didn't he? And we didn't have an awful lot off the bench. And as Reece just said, that Moxon made a bit of a schoolboy error by jumping on the back of tripping the heels of the forward that went through and gained the penalty. Literally 3 or 4 minutes away from from would have been a fantastic win. But I don't think. And I remember seeing clips on the sideline of Mousino jumping up and down and his head in his hands because he brought Blair on as well, and Blair got booked quite quickly for kicking the ball away.
Yeah.
And then he went into a couple of challenges where it was a bit dodgy as well, and he could have had a
Oh,
yellow
yeah.
card. And
Yeah, on the edge of the
just
box. Yeah.
yeah, there was a couple of times where it cut to Mousino. Mousino's got his head in his hands, going, "Oh my God!" So Blair looked a bit like Bambi on ice when he came on.
Yeah.
He was pumped up, but he was making all the wrong decisions. And then, like you said, he made a couple of other subs, which basically meant we collapsed into like a 4-5, a 4-4-6 rather, and with no striker. Even though I think Yengi came on and was supposed to give us an outlet, he just completely didn't give us that option. Unfortunately, more than once or twice. So we just collapsed, and they were playing around our 30-yard area, for fun and just probing us and trying to get that chance, those couple of chances that might get them the equaliser. And unfortunately, it was the penalty that did it. So, but with the squad being so threadbare, as we said in the last pod, Mousino didn't really have any choice. He had some players who were running out of legs, and he wanted to try and change the formation so that we could get up the pitch and keep more possession. But unfortunately, it just didn't work, did it? Which is a bit of a shame. But no, I think points obviously fantastic away at Middlesbrough. They were top 10 last season, as we discussed in the last pod, and one of the teams that will be up there this season as well. Michael Carrick is a great manager, and he's got a good backroom staff there, and they've got some decent players. So they'll I don't think any of the three matches we've played so far you could really put a marker down as to whether that is how we're going to exist in the season, because as we'll discuss later, we've pretty much replaced 2/3 of the squad. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to wait for them to bed in, Jamie, aren't we? Really, and we'll discuss them later. But it's the team that took the field in the last two games is probably not going to be anywhere near the team that plays in 4, 5, 6 games time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And it was so you touched on it there, and Reece said as well. I hope Moxon learns from that lesson. When he got dropped completely, wasn't even on the bench for the Sunderland game. I don't know if that was injury or whether Johnny's trying to teach him that lesson too. But I mean,
well, we had
I think
the new signings, didn't we? I think so.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
wanted to get them on the bench and maybe get some minutes in them before the international break. So, but yeah, it might have been an indictment on his poor defending. You never know.
yeah. But that's going to be interesting to see. We have signed a hell of a lot of players, more than I was expecting. And it's interesting to see the fans just and their reactionary nature just go from one extreme to the other on on social media. It's we haven't signed any players, Oh my God, we've signed another player.
Yeah, another left winger and another goalkeeper.
Yeah. Four. We've signed 4 goalies now. Yeah, so that's. Did you see the other one, the new one yesterday?
The kid that came in
youngster.
yesterday, for the development squad. Yeah, I mean that's that's fair enough, isn't it? I'm not sure how good or how developed our academy is, but obviously we've got some some juniors in there at 16, 17, 18. Whether any of them will make it, none of the last lot made it, unfortunately. So we'll have to see what this crop is like. But they're obviously signing players to dovetail in with the kids they've already got for the youth team. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Jordan Archer though, what are your thoughts? You've
Well, he's Scott Carson, isn't he? Scott Carson, Man City. He's just signed basically to warm the bench and be an extra player, I guess. I mean, not that we have any requirements to play that number of Englishmen because we don't play in Europe. But yeah, it's an interesting situation, isn't it? I mean, perhaps he is early 30s, isn't it? Perhaps he's looking to become a coach, and he's running coaching sessions with the goalkeepers as well. I don't know. Um, we'll have to see. But it seems that the plan is to not just have 2 goalkeepers, to have 3, and it'd be interesting. Bearing in mind the way that Norris has played in the first 4 games, yes, he has made mistakes, but he's also made some wonderful saves that have kept us in games.
He's been brilliant.
And
He's been
and
brilliant.
so it'd be interesting to see how this Austrian chap Schmidt comes in and does. Whether he is good with his feet like Norris is, and can help build up play from the back, which is
Yeah.
obviously the way that modern modern coaches want teams to play these days.
Sweeper keepers, yeah,
Indeed,
yeah. So
yeah.
I'm just looking at Archer's career, and 2015 to 2019, he played 144 games for Millwall. Since then, so since 2019, he has played 15 competitive matches. So he had, yeah. I mean, he was with Queens Park Rangers for 3 years, from 2021 to 2024. Didn't play once, so maybe he's just got, he's just happy to be the understudy.
To be the number three, yeah, to be the
Yeah,
coach,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
that's what perhaps he has got some some unique insights and is very good at transferring his skills. I don't know. That might be the reason why we brought him in. I mean, perhaps he's not on a lot of money either. Perhaps he's because they said they signed him up as backup. He's on a lower wage. He's certainly not going to get any playing bonuses, is he? So yeah. Hopefully you're back with us, Reece.
Yeah, it had a bit of a paddy when I booted it up, and I thought I'd keep going, but I think a refresh was in order. So good to be back.
Good. Yeah, we've just been talking about so the Middlesbrough game we wrapped up, and we were
Yeah.
talking about our four goalkeepers now, and
Mm,
whether Norris would um, how Norris and Schmidt are going to work, because
mm.
obviously Jamie just summed up Archer's career, and basically he hasn't played a game in nearly 3.5 years, so he's clearly not
Well,
going to play a game here either.
yeah.
So
What the
what's his
hell did we?
role and what so
Yeah, exactly. What do we sign him for? I was really bemused by this because I think of all the positions we needed to strengthen, it was defence. But something's going on, and that they either, I think we spoke about it last time, he either doesn't rate Norris at this level, or there's an issue with Archer. And I don't think Norris has been too bad. The third Sunderland goal, you could possibly say he could have maybe done a bit better. His distribution though has been pretty poor compared to what we've been used to in last season. And maybe Jay Mousino saw an opportunity to go get something a bit better, and we could do it and um, bring in a bit more competition. But yeah, it is a bit of a strange one. So I'm assuming it will be between Norris and Schmidt, but I wouldn't be surprised after last weekend or in the near future that Schmidt would start. But he's I guess Norris has got to make a mistake maybe to give him the justification to do it. But again, maybe his kicking's better and just all round game. He's a little bit taller, isn't he? And so, but I haven't. I must confess, I haven't seen much of him at all. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Bit of an odd one, but there you go.
yeah, so I think yeah, Norris has made some great saves, but he's also, as you said, I think he got caught on his near post for the third goal against Sunderland. So since we're mentioning Sunderland, let's cover that game now as well. So
Mm,
obviously Pompey's second home game of the season against table-topping Sunderland, they'd won three
mm,
and scored a hatful of goals. And continued that against us. Really, I mean,
mm,
Jamie, you were saying earlier about the stats not being as bad as against Sunderland and as one sided. I thought that they controlled the first 20 minutes without doing much. So they let us have a lot of the ball, and I think they were taking a look at us to see how we would play and how we would try and build up play and attack. And I think it was they were a bit stalky. I thought they were sort of toying with us a little bit, and once they started getting a bit more, into the first half, they started picking off and started creating some quality chances. So I think that's possibly where the stats lies. We did have a lot of ball the first 20-25 minutes until the unfortunate first goal, the own goal, which was a great clear off the line, but hit Swanson on the backside and went in. Um, and then that gave them the confidence to just go on. And I will mention Bellingham because I mean he just was enormous in that central midfield, and he didn't have to throw himself about. He didn't like his older brother seems to be far more dynamic and a far more covering every blade of grass sort of thing. I thought the younger Bellingham was more of a central midfielder dominance kind of guy where he would just sit there and tidy up and lay the ball off to playmakers rather than play as a 6 to an 8 to a 10 and try and get on in attacks. He just strolled around that midfield. I was so impressed with him. He did so much without doing that much, really. And they've obviously got a real player there as well as a couple of the other their attacking side. And me and my son bumped into a couple of Sunderland fans on the way out, and they were saying, they were trying to get an early train back because obviously they had a 7 hour or 8 hour journey home or whatever they were doing. So they'd grabbed some cans from the local offie and they were going to try and get to Fratton as soon as possible. But they were saying that it's down to the manager. They had a pretty much the same side for most of last season, but it's the manager that's given them that extra edge, and it's quite a young team. Because I did say to them, "You've spent 2 years in this division building, which is what we want to do." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "But it's the manager that's given us this edge this season, and he's the catalyst to really push this team on." So it was quite a chastening afternoon Saturday. I thought we'd actually come up against the quality that we possibly missed against the first three opponents, and we just didn't have an answer really. We were pretty much outplayed for 80 minutes.
Well, I'm just going to have to shut up and let you guys talk here because all I had to miss the match because we had so I watched the first 20 minutes, but I had some family round for a barbecue, and as soon as I had to prepare for that, and as soon as that first goal went in, I was like, "Oh fuck this! I'll go and help the wife set up the garden."
That is entirely your choice, Jamie.
Yeah.
I think quite a few people have thought that many times through Pompey's history. Sod that, let's go for a barbecue.
But what I will say is that I think I said in the last podcast, I said we were much more likely to get a result against Middlesbrough than we would Sunderland. And also Sunderland owe us from the Checkatrade Cup final, don't they? So I think they're to me the fans and any of the don't know if there's any remaining players, but definitely the fans and the club were definitely going to be up to for getting some payback for that. And what you were saying there as well about the way they were playing, I did read in the news this week. I read that their manager had said that their chosen method of play is to just sit back, soak up, and just wait for almost like a good counter boxer. Just wait for that opportunity. Get to know. Usyk fights this way. He goes into the ring and he gets to know his opponent. He lets them hit him almost, for the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then for the rest of the match he dominates because by then he's worked them out. And from what I read, that's I don't know if I pronounced his name right, Regis Lebris maybe. But yeah, that seems to be how Sunderland choose to play, and it's obviously paying dividends for them.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit tighter than that, but I think at this level more so, goals change games, and it was quite even up until the goal. I mean, they like most Championship teams, they seem to be fitter, more powerful, and they move the ball quicker. But really, up until the own goal, there wasn't much in it. I think once they got the goal, they obviously the pressure was off. They could hit us on the break. I mean the second goal, is that the second or third? I can't remember which one it was, but there I think we lost it, and then their player had it quite deep in our own half, and then about two or three midfielders players rushed towards him, and he literally took them out with one 5-yard pass that went past them. Midfield was gone, and they just belted up the other end, and bit of quality and finished the goal. And then Dazelle gave it away. I mean, it was a 50-50 challenge, but it was a terrible touch. And again, we got punished. But I think, on when you look at it, they look pretty assured. They look pretty. I wouldn't say they're the best team that we saw by a long shot. I thought Leeds probably were better than maybe Middlesbrough. But they got the goal at the right time, which is our own fault. I mean, a right back playing at centre back, and yeah, it was game over. But I think one thing that I think Mousino's done is he has stuck more or less with the same team that has done really got points out of the last 3 games that probably you weren't expecting them to. I had some absolute muppet behind me in the Fratton end just slagging off the team constantly. Absolute, just I mean, as soon as the goal went, it was that, and it was just like, hang on, this is a team that got us a point at Leeds, a point at Middlesbrough, and a point at home at Luton, who were ex Premiership, and yeah, it wasn't a great result, but actually performance wise, it was probably one of our best. But I think from man management perspective, he's got to keep the team that are performing. But now he has got total excuse to go, right, guys, I've got to change something because that performance wasn't good enough. And I think
Mm.
as the kind of new players came on, you could definitely see we were a slightly different outfit. And Kamara, especially in midfield, crikey, he just looked like a duck out of water, and he looked really really impressive. So I'd be surprised if plays much. Well, certainly in the next few games, but I think we'll see wholesale changes. I really do.
Yeah, he made 4 changes on the hour mark, didn't he? So I read a quote from Mousino's way to say that they were going to make a change after the second goal, but the third one went in too quickly for them to get organised. So yeah, it was. I mean, the game had gone, but like you said, I mean, I was so impressed with Roberts in particular for Sunderland. He was always in space on that wing and that inside left position. And Silvera wasn't. I mean, Silvera was culpable for the first goal. He had 3 opportunities to track back with runners. He left Ogilvy exposed on that left wing, and obviously once the ball went in, they were a bit lucky to score. But they shouldn't have got to where they did on the pitch, and they shouldn't have got the ball into the box because it should have been closed down. And that's the problem with Silvera. Really, his defending is nowhere near as good as Paddy Lane on that left. I know you're crying out, Jamie, for Paddy to be restored to that left hand side. I'm not
Yeah,
sure. Maybe he will in future games. If if he changes the formation a little bit, because obviously he's been playing him on the right in previous games. But yeah, I was so impressed by Roberts, and like you say, once they broke forward, it was fairly easy for them to score in the second half. But I thought, like I said, Reece, Kamara, when he came on, was always wanting the ball off of the back three of it, as it was changed to be. So we changed to wing backs on the hour and a back three, and he was always wanting the ball, and not only wanted to pass it to break lines, which was very impressive. I mean, we hadn't seen it all game. And as soon as he came on, he passed a 15, 20-yard ball through the middle to a number 10. And, he completely bypassed the midfield with that. So that's a real glimpse into what he gives us. And also, he can turn and drive on the ball like Diarra used to do all those years ago. So that's an exciting addition. Didn't really see much of the others, really. I thought Mahoney was very, very busy. O'Mahony, sorry, was very, very busy. And looked like a very direct striker. So that'll be interesting to see how he goes. And Blair, we've already had a look at. He's very quick and very tricky, but obviously very young and raw. So it'd be interesting to see what we do over the next 3 or 4 games. So obviously, we've not got an easy one coming up on a week on Saturday against West Brom. They're second at the moment, aren't they? With 10 points, not been beaten. So it doesn't get any easier, does it? But hopefully, with 2 weeks to with all the players who aren't on international duty to get them formed, perhaps we'll see quite a different side in a week or so's time.
Yeah, I was about to say one thing. Did mention earlier, Pack. When he's not on it, we're not on it.
No.
He had 3 or 4 good opportunities where I thought he's going to ping a fantastic pass, and I don't know whether it was just what it was, but every time it got intercepted or went a bit awry and things. And yeah, he just wasn't on it last week. But I think I think we're going to be in for a different starting 11 in against West Brom, which I think is on Sunday, isn't it? I think it's another game that's been moved. Yay!
Yeah, I think
So,
it's interesting you mentioned Pack though, because I thought especially in the second half, early second half, where Sunderland were really turning the screw. I think he was trying to make up for Dazelle. So I think he was trying to do the job
yeah,
of 2 men, and he was getting caught out quite a lot. there was 2 or 3 situations quite early in that second half where they just played around us in midfield far too easily, and I think that's because Pack was trying to do too much because he didn't have the support from Dazelle. I mean, it was for when Dazelle lost the ball for the third game, it was a hell of a crunching tackle in midfield. It was a 50-50 ball, both that went for them, and it sprang into the path of Mundell, who went on and scored. So, yeah, I mean, a bit of a wake up call, but we've got a completely different squad. I know you didn't see it, Jamie, but did you see any highlights afterwards?
No,
No.
I decided I didn't
Well,
want to.
we'll end it there then.
So I managed to catch the own goal. I managed to catch the own goal as well just after I'd come back from sorting out the garden. And I saw that, and I thought, do I want to watch Sunderland's score? Score. No, I didn't. I just didn't want to watch. No.
Yeah.
But touching on what you guys were just saying there, so that would be my only criticism of Pompey this going into this campaign, is that we've done our business really really late and we haven't we haven't prepared for it. And coming into a new league, I was very surprised by that. I thought, but I mean, as long as we survive, I guess that's the mission for this season. But yeah, I was really surprised that we didn't get. We didn't have our business done by August, ready for the start of the season. We taken those players abroad with us to the training camp, getting to know even just like the people getting to know each other as friends. Let alone on the pitch and everybody's nuances and idiosyncrasies. But what can I say? They've done it did exceptionally well from last season. So who's I don't want to argue with them.
No, the thing is though, isn't it? We're now a smaller fish in a bigger pond. There's less quality players out there to buy or get in. I totally get it. Yeah, I mean the last 2 seasons we've done our business really early has been where we want to be, but I just think it's a lot harder, especially you got to say on paper. A lot of people say relegation because we're kind of just come up.
Sure,
But I think everybody probably say they're really impressed with the signing so far. And but yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. As Pompey fans, we always love to just hopefully relax and not have a last minute transfer deadline. Are we going to get him? Are we not? So
yeah. Yeah, so I guess the question is that I'm alluding to is, how long does it take a team to gel? How long is it going to be until this team of new players are the Portsmouth squad and they are and we're winning. If indeed, I'm assuming they will turn out. I've got every faith.
Well,
I want to remain positive that we've got good players, but how long is that going to take?
the thing is though, Redknapp 2003 got decent players. Bush changed the whole squad, and we won the league. So I just think if you got players that are good, I think you're going to do a lot better. I think 10 games in is probably when, considering the late business, is when we'll probably hopefully start to be a lot better. But I just think some of the starters will be different. So, and also we still got injuries as well. I mean, the defence against something was very makeshift, and there's no way if we had full squad that would be starting with Williams and Taylor at centre back, end of, and possibly not even Ogilvie at left back. So yeah, you could theoretically see 4 out of the back 5 change in the next game or 2. So
how was Ogilvie and the? Because I'm usually a really really good fan of his, but he's not. Was it the
he's
Leeds
solid,
game?
but he's just not. He's not as mobile and as quick, and he's a steady Eddie. But I think you just need somebody a little bit more mobile. And I mean, he got caught out for did he give a penalty at Leeds? But I like him because he's a steady Eddie. But again, he's got to be a steady Eddie and good enough as well. So I thought he was. I thought he was okay.
It's part of our build up to attack, though, as well, isn't he? Sorry to interrupt. It's part of our build up to attack.
Yeah, he's great.
He has that diagonal ball to the left. where he heads it or controls it, and then we build up on the left. So it's part of the plan. So if we just have a look at, the fifth, we brought in 15 new players, which I think is far more than anyone imagined. And you do make a very good point about it. Some of our transfer dealings being done quite late, but there was obviously real reasons for that. So obviously quite early on we got Dazelle, Williams, Murphy, and Jacob Farrell. Or we haven't seen him yet. Does he exist? He hasn't been sighted anywhere.
He's the new
I don't know whether he's at the
Mirage.
training ground or not. So we assume he exists and he's actually going to play. And obviously we got Sam Silvera on loan from Middlesbrough quite early, and that Ruben Swan, who's obviously gone out on loan as a development player. So we did get some bodies in quite early, but obviously that we were looking at a few more to come in because of the desperate injury situation. So recently, obviously, since the last pod and the last couple of weeks, we obviously signed Schmidt from Blau-Weiße Linz in Austria for 400,000 allegedly. We also got Matt Ritchie on a free, which was quite exciting for the Mushies, because I think we always like to see one of our own play and come back, even though he didn't really play for us that much before he left. But we also, as well, a few days before the end of the transfer window, we managed to secure Harvey Blair, who'd been mooted, and that allegedly was for 350,000. But then, of course, far closer to the window, and actually on the last day, we obviously signed Kamara from Dortmund and PSG, which is quite amazing. So, and we've already had a glimpse of him, and he looks very, very decent indeed. But we got two more loans and a signing on the deadline day. So obviously Abani Boat from Fulham, who's Scottish. You wouldn't tell it from that name, really, would you? Certainly not the most Scottish name you've ever heard. And obviously on loan from West Ham and Brighton, Premier League development players. Obviously Freddie Potts, the son of Steve Potts, and Marco Mahoney from Brighton, who's a striker. So if we'd have done that kind of business before the first game of the season, I think we would have been very, very, very excited. I think it's because it's done at the end of August rather than the beginning that we're all slightly nervous. But if you have a look at our fixtures, and I think we said this on the previous pod, were the management team kind of going, we're not worried about the first 7 games. If we get anything out of the first 7 games, then that's not where we're going to get there. Where we're going to get the points to keep us up anyway. Because obviously in August we played Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Luton, and Leeds United, and I think we all were hoping and praying for 4 points, so we got 3 in the end. And then you look at September. Obviously, we start, as you say, on Sunday, the 15th, with West Brom, who are currently second, and were obviously strong last season. And then we're away to Burnley the following Saturday, and to end September, we've got Sheffield United at home. So first 7 games, we're playing, pretty much 7 teams who you would expect to be in the top 10 anyway. So perhaps the management team thought, well, let's write those off. We're not worried about getting bodies in for the sake of it. We'll get the quality we want, and we'll bed them in time for October. So if we look at October, we're away to Stoke on the 2nd, home to Oxford, which you would want to see. That may be our first win of the season. You never know. Away to QPR, away to Cardiff, and then to finish off October, we're at home to Sheffield Wednesday. So you've got more winnable games there, and you've also got a squad that's been together for a couple of months that you'd start to see hopefully gel. So perhaps that was some of the thinking behind the recruitment, and saying, we're not going to buy players at the start of August just for the sake of it, and then have to discard half of them because then they don't do the job. We want to get the players we want to get because we trust them to be able to come in and improve the squad eventually. So, that's my thoughts about it. I genuinely think that it was kind of, we're not going to stay up by, getting points in those 7 games. It's beating the teams around us, in the bottom half of the table, that will keep us up.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, and if that's
I think also that there will be players out there who we did not get. I mean, I heard people talk about Robertson, that we matched Cardiff's offer, but I think somebody mentioned his dad used to play for Cardiff, and they probably could pay more wages, and he went there. So there would have been ones that got away as well. So I guess the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, won't it? When we get into October, you just don't want to get dragged into a relegation race because once you're down there, the pressure's totally different, especially if you're in the bottom three or bottom four. But yeah, I think we've got cause for optimism because we've got we've signed some players who people must think could do a job in the championship, and yeah, let's get them out on the pitch.
So, are you excited, Jamie, by the overall? Um, we've spent some considerable money. If Kamara was valued at 1.5 million, I'd be very surprised if we paid that much.
We never spent
But
anywhere near that for him.
no, but we have. If you take some of the combined purchases, we've spent well over £1 million, if not £2 million, which is a surprise, isn't it not?
It is, yeah. But you you look at teams like Hull are spending 4.5, 5 on one player compared to them. We haven't spent any money at all. But to answer your original question, though, am I excited? I want to be excited, and that's just me being brutally honest. I want to be excited by all of these players, but at the moment we've signed a lot. To me, a lot of unknown quantities. They might be good, they might not. And I'm given Hugh's track record so far, I'm confident. I've got faith. But until we actually see him on the pitch, and they've had, what 7 to 10 games to gel together and start performing. What was it? I think back to that famous season when Harry Redknapp signed Papa Bouba Diop. Was it John Rocha? And who was the other one he got in? The other, I can't remember. Oh, Sean Davis.
Do you mean Ricardo Rocha?
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah.
No,
You used to call him John, did you?
Yeah, well, it's the the clothing brand, John Rocha. John Rocha.
Oh
yeah.
yes.
Okay. So it takes back to that. It took us 7 to 10 games to turn it around. So in my mind, that's how long it takes good players to gel and start working together. Whether that's complete bullshit or not, that's what's in my head as the way things are done. So if I'm hoping within within 7 to 10 games, we'll start to see how all of these new players are going to pan out. Yeah, of course I'm excited. As much as I moan, I love the Blues, and and I'm praying that they can do the business and we can stay up comfortably. And maybe even get a little bit of a tickle of the playoffs, but knowing us probably not actually near enough to. Yeah.
That's fairly nosebleed territory, isn't it? Top 10 for us at the moment.
Yeah.
I think we're in 18th. I'd be delighted to be 18th after 46 games. That would be a very successful season, really. And we would have bought some decent players who are only going to develop. I mean, who knows? I mean, if Kamara turns out to be an absolute beast in the next 2 or 3 years, how much is he going to be worth? Central midfielders who play like him are very, very, very desirable. So we'll see. I mean, Potts is an interesting one. So we'll go back to Pack. I mean, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not hammering Pack. I'm not down on him. I don't think he can play 46 games at a high level. I think we've brought in players who will hopefully at certain points in the season be able to give him a bit of a rest, or if he gets an injury, give him 2 or 3 weeks off to recover properly. Because we can't. I don't think we can rely on him for 46 games to play at 100% level, because I don't think it's possible physically for him to do that, because a very demanding role, as I just said, in central midfield. So it's interesting we have bolstered our defensive midfield options, our number 6 options, because obviously we've got 10 left wingers, so that's a decent. We've got that sewn up. If he's going to play Matt Ritchie and Paddy on the right, I'm not sure. I'm not sure Ritchie should play on the wing, to be honest. Really, I think he should be a 10 or play alongside Pack. But that's perhaps a discussion for another day. But yeah, I think it's interesting. We have got another defensive midfielder in to give us 4 options in there, because, like I say, I think it would be a hard ask for Pack to do 46 games at a high level. For a player of his age.
Yeah. How old is he? Is he 32? Is he 33?
I thought he was 33 to maybe 34, but it's a fit. Football players are
Mm.
stupidly fit these days. They're not like players of 30, 40 years ago. As soon as you were 30, you started breaking
33.
down. 33.
33.
So,
Yeah.
but as you said earlier, Reece, these teams are strong, powerful, quick. You have to have that pace and that speed of thought and everything. And he's good mopping things up and spraying, dictating play from the back. But when, as we saw against Sunderland, when he has to try and get stuck in, he can get caught out. If he's not got someone solid alongside him playing, which unfortunately Dazelle wasn't. He's done okay, but I don't think he's a starter. If we get this, everyone fit and firing.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because he was touted as being kind of courted by Sheffield United, wasn't he? And Chris Wilder was seemed to be a big fan of him, and I think wasn't it? They said they were going through a takeover, and things started to stall a bit, and we pounced for him. So he must have something about him, but maybe we just let's say that we haven't quite gelled yet. Who knows?
No, I think he's very useful. He's useful to have, as a player to come on and maybe off the bench and do a certain job if we're either defending a lead or he needs to change formation. I think it's having a number of different options within the team and off the bench is probably how Mousino and Rich Hughes want to do things. And none of the players we've got are alike. None of the players have got exactly the same attributes. They've all got different things about them. So it'd be interesting to see how he makes up the team, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, and see who can stake a claim in the team. Because as we've just said, probably every position is up for grabs at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I think I've mentioned on the chat that I was going to pick your brains and just end on before we discuss what we might do against West Brom on a Sunday, which is I can't remember the last time I saw a Pompey match on a Sunday. Very, very, very long time ago. I think we might have had a TV game in League Two or something when we had a Sunday. But transfer deadline day, who's the player that came in and you were most excited about at the time? Because obviously we a lot of the players we've got in are fairly unknown. But back in the days of the Premiership and even the Championship, in the 90s and noughties, we signed a few stonking players. Who's maybe excited you over the years?
Crikey, that's a tough one when I've already done my load on Papa Bouba Diop, Sean Davis, and Ricardo, John Rocker.
Well, that was a bombastic transfer window, was it? I think we all signed all three on the same day, didn't we? I think.
I thought we signed Pedro Mendes as well, because I thought we got Mendes.
Sorry,
and,
it was Pedro. Yeah, it could be Pedro Mendes.
Pedro Mendes, wasn't it? Because you got Mendes and Davis from Spurs, and they
Yeah,
went in.
yeah.
We didn't do very much, and then suddenly Mendes comes up with a 20-yarder against Man City, and in the last minute, the whole place goes crazy, and the whole season turns around. So, but yeah, I think it was Pedro Mendes. But I mean, for me, it's probably Jermaine Defoe because he was quite expensive, but also he was at the time a top striker, and to get him, I think it was around the time when Didamat was going on about the stadium and basically redeveloping the hard, and got these kind of one-off super architects involved and sold us a vision, and then and kind of had all the marquee signings. But to get somebody like Defoe, who was at the top of his game, was for me was just like I wasn't necessarily excited about it. It was just like, oh my god, are we still signing? And ironically, he wasn't our most expensive because that was Crouchy from Liverpool when he came back. So, but even like Prozanecki, to get him, although you probably didn't realise he was a 40-day chain smoker, has been. But for Barcelona and Real Madrid he was, but for us he was excellent. But yeah, those kind of players.
To this day, Jermaine Defoe is still my favourite ever Portsmouth signing. And I know, Scott, right now you're playing Championship Manager 01
I
02.
I
Yeah, yeah.
am.
So
I've been tempted. You've opened my eyes, Jamie.
yeah.
I'm now addicted to it because, and I've started a team. I've started a season. This is probably going to be very boring for our listener, but I've started a team with that the exact year. So I've just managed to sign Yakubu as well from Maccabi Haifa to give it a sense of realism. But yeah, we had a lot of players on our books like Hayden Fox and Dazu and all that sort of stuff in that promotion season. So yeah, it. I think Prozanecki was. I was just amazed when Prozanecki arrived. It's like Trotter's independent trading. New York, London, and Peckham. He Barcelona, Real Madrid, and then Pompey. It's just ridiculous that he came here. I mean, obviously, I think Mandrick paid. It was a personal favour to Mandrick, and Mandrick chucked him £1 million allegedly for the season. But what a signing! And it's interesting, isn't it? Because players like Diarra, who obviously was ended up being world class and playing again for Real Madrid, and we got I think we got him for £5 million from Arsenal. Which is just astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, he had, when he left us, he had a pretty stellar career for France and the various clubs he played for. But I think he was only with us for 18 months, as was Defoe. Obviously, as we know our history, the club had to sell every single player that had two legs in order to keep Gatormax finances afloat. But yeah, £5 million for Diarra.
I
That's
think
astonishing, really, isn't it?
I think he's the player who we made the most amount of money on. Surely, I mean, I think he's our most
Yeah, we sold him
expensive
for 20.
sale. Is it 20?
Yeah,
Didn't
we
we?
got 20 million for him.
And we
Yeah,
pay it was
yeah.
paid 5 million. But I think he's Pompey's best ever player. I know people love Prozanecki, but for proper quality, I think he's been our best ever player without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a
Better
doubt.
than Bricky
And
Burns.
I think it proved when he sold him to Real Madrid.
Hey,
Say that.
Ricky
I mean,
Burns. Yeah.
when do we sell a player to Real Madrid? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, we're buying them now from PSG and Dortmund. So we're on the up, Reece.
What?
We're not a selling club anymore. We're buying
Hey,
quality.
uh,
We'll see how that goes.
well, yeah, it'd be interesting to see who if we do sell anybody. So because we've got a fair bit of squad bulk to get to move on. All those Scully and White have gone. So um,
Yeah, shame for Gavin White. I mean, he had a difficult season personally. Allegedly, there's various stories about his personal woes, but I don't think his family ever moved from Northern Ireland, and he was obviously popping back there quite a lot. So it's obviously difficult for him. But I mean, putting that aside, whether we whether he just didn't have the quality, or whether we didn't see the best of him, I don't think he was. I mean, he certainly wouldn't be championship quality now. So him going off and trying to secure a contract elsewhere. Fair play to him. Scully, again, I don't think we'll see him in a blue shirt again. He'll he's gone back to work with the Cowleys, who had some good success with previously. So good luck to him. Stevenson, I imagine, will probably go out on loan as well. And Devlin seems to be like Mousino's Swiss Army knife. He seems to come on at various positions whenever he needs to. So I don't think Devlin would be going anywhere. But
isn't
be
he?
interesting to go right.
Isn't Devlin under 21 and therefore he doesn't count to one of the squad?
In the
Which might
squad,
be another reason.
possibly. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't quote
might
me on
be.
that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, gents. Wonderful again. What's our thoughts for West Brom in what was it 8 days time now?
I'll take a point. I think the team will be different. I hope we'll be more competitive. Is Jed Wallace still there? I think he is, isn't he? So welcome old boy back, but I'll still take a point. But yeah, I think we'll be a different proposition. Hopefully, we get more of the old guard back in defence. And yeah, how many team changes are we going to see in that first 11 compared to the team that started against Sunderland at the weekend? Answers on a postcard.
So I know they're second in the league, but I'm going to go for Portsmouth's first win
Oh, that'd be great.
against
I'd
the West
yeah.
Brom. Yeah, and you can both slag me off for that next week when I'm wrong, but yeah, got,
Well,
I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling.
I'm gonna back you up, Jamie. I think
Oh my God.
we can win. I think we can. I think we can. I'm sorry, but I think we can. You know, I think having. I think we just want to see progress. I think that's the point you made, Reece, and well made. Is that I think we just want to see progress. We fell apart a bit against Sunderland, and that's probably because the team had given everything they had against 3 or 4 very tough teams, and there was too much of a gap to find against Sunderland. So maybe we'll do much better against West Brom. I think we just want to see a more organised and a more controlled way of playing. And if they beat us, fair enough. If they're better than us, then fair enough. But I think the disappointing thing was in Sunderland that there was a quite obvious quality gap, and we want to close that gap as quickly as possible. So thanks, gents. Thanks very much for another excellent episode. This has been the Play Up podcast. I've been joined by Jamie and Reece once again, and however or wherever you listen to this, I do hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Cheers for now. Bye bye.